Steven é ator, diretor e professor do método Meisner. Ele veio aqui agora fazer um workshop aqui no Rio. Temos o prazer de conversar com ele. I was telling that you were an actor, a director, and a teacher of Meisner technique, and it's very good. It's a pleasure to be with you.
It's a pleasure for me to be here.
And I wrote some questions. I will read that questions, and then we can have an informal chat.
Sure.
So, the first one is, Sanford Meisner, in the beginning of his career, was one of the members of group theater in the 1930s, with Lee Strasberg, Stella Adler, Elia Kazan, people who have developed a bit later the method of actors' studio, where Meisner, on the very beginning, was one of the first teachers, but later, Meisner has developed his own technique. The methods of actors' studio and the Meisner technique are both based on the experience they have with Stanislavski.
Yes.
Methods. What are, in your opinion, the main differences between the method and the Meisner technique?
Good, I'm glad you said the main difference, because we could talk for hours about it.
Yeah.
Probably, but let's see if I can answer that question about the main differences. At the heart of it, they're all after the truth, right? Strasberg and Meisner, even though they work completely opposite, they're after the truth. The difference is that Meisner and Stella Adler and Bobby Lewis and them, they felt and they believed that an actor, to get to your truth, right, to get to your truth, is through doing, is through really doing. From really doing, emotions will come as a gift, as an accidental byproduct, from really doing something. And Strasberg, and with the method, was working on a thing that Stanislavski, in his early part of his discovery of acting, early on, was playing with this thing about sense memory, emotional recall, which will do things for you. As a Meisner teacher, as an acting teacher, I don't say this is the only way. All I know is it's a truthful way in, right? And like I said, they're all after the truth. So it's good for, as actors, to take in different techniques and to explore. Meisner, and like I said, and the others, and myself from doing this work, we just believe that when working with emotional recall of what the method was playing with, like I said, it's going to do something to you, for you to think back about a moment that's happened in your life. The thing that they believed is that it's limited, though. Is that it's limited. So this is the difference. I want to say that Meisner and them believed that if you use your imagination, what if this, tied into things that really mean something to you, doesn't mean made up crap. It means taking something that means something to you and saying, what if you open the door to the world of the imagination? And Meisner believed that not only, he thought it was healthier to do that, but not only healthier, stronger, he thought, stronger. Now, like I said, there's all different things to explore as an actor, and I'm not here to say this technique is, stronger or better than the other. It's just, for the foundation of acting, I think it's a fantastic technique. This is what Meisner worked on for 71 years, because it's based in really doing. Not pretending, really doing. And at the heart of it, ultimately, an actor is every part of an actor's performance, every moment, comes from how he feels about that moment, ultimately, you know. But for an actor to do that, he has to be very in tune to how he feels about everything, truthfully.
Yeah.
And what's great about this work is it's about working moment to moment, really doing how to let your true impulses out. Your impulses, who you really are, who Philippe it really is revealed by your impulses, who you know, your
Yes.
instincts. And that's what's really neat about this work. I mean, you asked me, the difference is really about doing, the concentration more on doing, and letting the emotions come as a gift from really doing something, and from using your imagination.
Yeah, good. And how did you get to know and to work with the Meisner technique? Did you?
I was an actor many moons ago in college, and I was lucky to work with a very famous actress named Zoe Caldwell. And she's from Australia, and she I think won the most Tonys, the Tony Award we have in New York. She and Julie Harris won the most Tony Awards. And she only does theater. She's an amazing actress. And I was studying with her in college. And after studying for a couple of years with her, she took two of us aside before we graduated. Two of us aside that she really thought, I think, had the real spark to really want to learn what this acting thing is. And said, hey, you know, I think you should go to New York and continue studying, and study with Sanford Meisner. And I said, great, who is that? And I didn't know anything about him. And he had been teaching for over 50 years and has taught many of our greatest actors in America, in New York. And so I went and applied to the neighborhood playhouse in New York City, where he taught, and knowing nothing about what he teaches, you know. And luckily I got in, and it changed my life. Everything that I had been doing up to that point, I did acting in college, and you know, was when I studied with Meisner, it almost was like everything went out the door and we had to start over again, you know, and to learn a step-by-step process, a foundation of what acting really is. And again, it was based on, every day is based on really doing. It's like, oh, come on, you know, can't I pretend something?
A little bit.
Yeah, a little bit. It's a little safer, you know, but no, nothing. So I was very lucky, and I was the last class to have him. Yeah, this is 23 years ago. The last class to have him. Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah.
And talking about the Meisner technique today, I have the feeling that the Meisner technique became much more popular around the world in the recent years, perhaps in the last 10 years.
Yeah.
And do you agree with it? And do you think we are living in a time less psychological and more pragmatic?
Interesting.
There is something.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, yes, I think that I've been saying like the last 15 years is really, around the world, is starting to really catch on and to start to discover what Meisner was teaching. And I think it's one reason why I'm teaching all over the world, you know, in Europe and everywhere, and every couple months a new place, because everyone wants to find out about this technique. And so I think and I will tell you, it's funny, because Mariana and I were talking about this, that even in America, in the last 15 years, 20 years, it's really grown, where now every university and every conservatory, and I've taught at a couple of them, are now doing Meisner You know, where maybe 30 years ago, 20 years ago, they were doing Strasberg or different techniques, you know, and now more doing Meisner. You know, this question about are we now more pragmatical than psychological, I don't know. I think the thing that constantly changes is technology in our world, and as technology changes, the way we look at acting and the way the medium that we have to act in changes, you know?
The audience also.
The audience
perception
changes.
of the audience with the actors.
And the audience, so it's always is changing, and maybe because of that, this way of working, where someone like yourself looks at it and says it's really pragmatic, you know, of a step-by-step, a real foundation, you know, a solid process that we can work on. I think it does help an actor a lot, because it's not playing too much psychologically about, you know, philosophizing about acting and trying to think about it and trying to add, you know, do all these different things together. It's really a pragmatic, step-by-step, real doing process. I would like maybe, I don't know, to talk about it if at the end, before we have a chance, just about what the main idea of the exercise is with Meisner.
Do you want to talk about it?
Yeah, just so you can, you know, we talked about what the difference is between, you know, the method and Meisner technique, but I think to give an idea of what the Meisner technique, you know, again, okay, he says it's really doing, but okay, what's that mean? How do we work on really doing? And he came up with this exercise called repetition, which I think you've heard of, right?
Yeah.
And again, he came up with it because he said acting's really doing, from Stanislavski, you know, and he said actors really have two main problems, especially when they're learning the craft of acting. He said, one, they don't really do, that's what, right? They don't really listen, they don't really do. And two, we're self-conscious, right? We're self-conscious beings. And he said, so that's how he came up with this exercise, you know, called repetition, saying, if you really, a real doing is really listening. It's the bottom line to acting, is really listening, right? It's the most important thing. More of our acting comes from true listening than from anything else. So he said, if you can really listen to me, you can repeat what I say. And so that's how he came up with this crazy, you know, it sounds crazy at first. You have to repeat what I say, and we have to repeat each other. Well, it sounds kind of simple and mechanical, right? But there's a real truth behind it, because you now, if you have to listen to me and repeat me, where's your focus at? You're on me. Yeah. Your focus is on me, so now it's off yourself. Yeah. So you can't be self-conscious. So your focus is on me. Now your focus is on me, and you're really listening. And if we're both doing that, we're really playing this ping-pong game of really listening to each other. Now we're not self-conscious, and we can be more free to follow our true impulses. Remember I said earlier, who you really are is revealed by your true impulses, not even the you'd like to be, you know, or the you wish, you know, or you think another person wants you to be, but who you really are. And so that's the exercise. It's based on this simple concept of let's really listen to each other. And for you to listen, you have to repeat me, right? And we repeat each other. And through that, this exercise immediately causes several things to happen. One is it forces the actor to listen, really. Two, it forces the actor to put the attention on the other person, off himself. And three, it helps teach the actor to respond from his impulses and to respond spontaneously, right? And to respond with emotionally, not intellectually. Because the big problem that comes into play with many actors is this, the brain. The brain gets in the way because the brain has a job. It's for survival, for us to function, to survive in life. It has a really big job, important job, and thank God for it, right? But in acting, the brain is there to when we say survive, to be right, is to not get hurt. Don't let me get hurt, Mr.
Yes.
Brain. Yeah. So that's why, though, it's very hard to follow your true impulses, because if you do that, the brain says we might get hurt. I might get hurt if I follow what I really feel or what I really get from you. But that's what's great about this exercise, and what I help as a teacher to do in the exercise is anytime the actor is not working from his impulses, his true instinct, and is working from here, it shows, and I don't let that happen. And then it's like, wow, all of a sudden the actor has to go, okay, here I really am. This is the real me. I'm here. Holy cow.
Put the brain
Put the brain away, and the brain gets really upset. The brain says, wait a minute, hello, I don't like this new relationship here, I don't like this. I like being in control. Yeah. So that's what's so neat about I think why it's everywhere around the world, everyone's doing it more and more, because it's very healthy to do that. It's very healthy to really listen to people. It's very healthy to put my attention off myself onto my fellow actors. It's very healthy to go with what I really feel. We can't do it in life all the time because there's consequences to saying and doing what we truly feel, in a moment. And so from an early age, we're taught, think before you speak. I have 2 kids, and my kid walks into an elevator with me, and there's a big person there, and he says, wow, you're fat, or you're really big, or whatever, you know what I mean? And I'm like, oh, geez. You gotta be, and we teach, you gotta think about what you say. It could hurt the person's feeling, And so from an early age, as kids, we're very free to say and follow our impulses, right? Yeah. But for a long time, we're taught there's consequences to that. So we have to to survive in this world, we have to be aware of what we say and what we do. But in acting, it's the opposite. What makes great actors is they follow. Why we believe them is because they follow their true impulses. But that just takes a little while. That means they're not working from here. They're working from 1.5 feet south from the heart and soul. Yeah. So that's basically what the exercise, how it starts, and then we keep building on that.
Good. For you, what are the connections and the differences of the work of the actors on theater and in the movies, under the perspective of the Meisner technique?
It's a good question, because one thing that I think is so strong about this technique is that it's good for actors in any medium, in film, in TV, and in theater. Now, there is a difference, but at the core of what's demanded of an actor, again, this thing we're talking about being truthful, living truthfully under imaginary circumstances. This technique helps actors to do that, so it helps them in film or in theater. The only difference is that in theater, it's a little bigger, it's bigger, and in film, the camera can see it here, right here. But what's important is, and what good acting is that it's truthful. On the stage, even though it's not here, it's here. This has to be truthful still. It can't be pretend, it can't be made up. I still have to follow my true impulses, But it might be where, you know, it might be here instead of on film. It might be right in the eyes only, but it is still truthful, right? We don't believe it when it's not. And so I think this technique, I think it's one reason why so many people are doing it now, and why it's really big in America now, and now a lot of countries are doing it, is because of that reason. That it helps an actor get to the truth, and so that's helpful in whatever you're doing. Yeah.
Good. And how do you relate the Meisner technique, which is based on impulse, listening, and really doing, with the different genres, styles of plays and movies?
The beginning work that you do for a year with the Meisner work, when you study like in New York, is all about living truthfully, and then we slowly add imaginary circumstances, right? After that, then we start adding, like the second year, imagine doing that for a year, following your impulses for a year. That really will have an effect on you.
Very powerful.
Yeah, very powerful. Very powerful. Now that you're used to following your impulses and really doing, really listening and all these things, now we build on that, Meisner would build on that, of working with style and character and text to be able to work in different genres and different time periods, and to work in, you know, to do, if you're going to do commedia dell'arte, if you're going to do, you know, Shakespeare, there's a lot of work you have to do there on language, right? If you have that foundation, that solid foundation of really doing, really listening, working from your impulses every moment. Now when you take that and start adding, playing with heightened language, you got to work on it, right? Is Shakespeare, and what's so good about what the Brits do so well. They work so much on the language and different styles and periods, right? Imagine, for me, it's the best of both worlds. If you take that work that we're working on with the Meisner technique of the gut instincts, and now you start putting an actor that does that with playing with all these things you need to learn with heightened language and periods. You really have to work on both. You have to add that to it. You know, it's another part of the equation that I believe you have to add to it. But when you do that, from my experience, when you see that, it is, I mean, talk about magic, and talk about, you could do anything as an actor. And an actor really should be able to do anything. We get caught up in today's world of just doing, you know, just doing TV or just doing that. The great actors, I will tell you, and the ones I work with in New York, they don't just do this, or they do TV and they do theater every chance they get. And they do, you know, and they'll do a film, and they'll do back to theater, and they'll do a Shakespeare play, and they'll do a contemporary play, and they'll do TV to make their money, their living, but they'll continuously try to do as much as they can so they can still grow and be, you know, express themselves fully as an actor. Many actors are trained today. There's a class for every little thing, right, today? And I believe some of the problem with today's actors is that they only do one thing. But we really need to be able, an actor really needs to be able to do many things, and the training should help them to do many things, you know. The training of style and heightened language with really following your instincts.
Good. And how do you perceive the relationship between contemporary actors and the contemporary audiences?
Say that again?
The relationship between the contemporary actors and the contemporary audiences.
The relationship now with them? And
with, as you said, the technology, the connection, people who always in front of a computer with the internet, they read the things with other perspectives. The reception of a work of art, I think it's a bit different. And what do you think about this connection and the contemporary actor, how it works, that relationship?
You know, someone told me once, and I can't remember, that an actor live on stage is like you know those, we call it a tuning fork? You know that thing, it looks, for musicians, you hit it and it goes ding,
Diapasão. In Portuguese it's diapasão.
Right?
Yeah.
It vibrates, it makes a sound, and it hums and makes a... An actor on stage is like a tuning fork where it rings, it vibrates, and the audience picks up that vibration. And it should be a connection, it's a connection back and forth. Like the audience is another tuning fork, and they're both connected when it happens, when the actor's doing what a true actor does, and the audience is there, that live audience, and they connect. And I think theater will always be around because of that. But the world is changing, so there's now, we're acting on the internet, web series and all these things. And I think we have to do everything we can do, we have to keep the arts alive in whatever medium we need to do. But I think theater will always be around because of that special thing, of that live, vibrating thing happening and the audience being alive too. I think what you're saying is, what's the difference now maybe with audiences now in this new world? I go crazy, and I'm sure this may have happened to you going, and I found in South America too that the audiences may talk more, or they'll look at their phone in the middle of, in America we really are big on not letting that happen, People may do it, but in New York especially, we go crazy. The house manager comes down with a laser and says off in the middle, because we're really trying to keep the respect of the actors up there and what's going on, so we can have that connection. But I think it's changing a lot, because I go crazy with people watching stuff and looking at their phones and texting, and I believe that it has to do with also TV a lot now, and the internet, of being in our homes, and we watch stuff and we talk and we're not connecting live with it. I mean, we're watching it, but it's missing that thing that's special about theater, And so they come into the theater all of a sudden, and they don't realize, they think it's still watching.
They change that.
They think they're watching the TV or something, and they talk out loud and stuff. But I think it's always going to be there. But I think theater will always be around, and theater has always had really big ups and downs, and always around the turn of centuries, theater has had a huge comeback, and I think the same thing, that as the years keep going by, that theater will have a more important place in the world and in different countries than we think.
The image of the tuning fork is very good, very powerful. And what do you know about Brazilian performing arts and movies? And
I don't know too much. I mean, I know some about some of the movies, and because I've been teaching in South America, in other countries like Ecuador, and I'm going to Uruguay soon, I know some, mostly about the films, South American films and stuff, but I don't know too much about the theater, so I'm hoping to learn more and to see. I love when I travel and teach and meeting actors and working with actors. I love getting to see. So I don't know too much. I'd like to see more and learn more, and I hope to come back more and keep working with actors here and to learn what they're doing. And I'm a director. I started. I was an actor for many years, and then I started directing more and more and more. And it's funny because, like I was telling you earlier, I fought it for a little while. I said, but I'm an actor. And everyone kept asking me to direct more and more. And I was meant to direct, to be a director. And when I started directing is when I started teaching more too. And I think the teaching and the directing go like this. It's really helped each other. The teaching has helped me be a stronger director, and the directing has helped me be a stronger teacher.
Okay. It's good. I think we have to finish. If you want to say something else or
no, just really pleasure to meet you, and I really, really am glad that Mariana and Josanna brought me here to Rio. We had, when I came 3 or 4 months ago and had the first class, it's always very exciting because it's this technique, it's the actual working of these exercises, it's very different than most acting classes, where it's very different to not have to think, and to not have to think, and to experience that, to not go with the brain and to go with your true impulses is really powerful, and it helps actors, and they struggle through it. It's not easy. Even if you've been acting a long time, you're used to doing certain things, and it's wonderful work. I love it. I love teaching it because it's based in truth. So, like I said, there are many techniques, and the ones that are valid are the ones that bring you to the one ultimate truth, your truth. The ones that are valid, and that's what I think this technique does, so it's great. It's great.
With these words, we finish our entire chat or interview. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.